everyone. Glad to be here with all of you and be part of this great event. Great to see as well a lot of companies, hundreds and hundreds of companies in the crypto space gathering here today for the event, and great to see as well Dubai positioning itself as a leading crypto hub regionally and internationally. So I'll introduce myself quickly and then we can kickstart with the session here. My name is Ola Doudin. I'm co-founder and CEO of BitOasis. BitOasis, we're the leading crypto asset platform focused on MENA TP, and that's Middle East, North Africa, Turkey, and Pakistan. We've started actually building the platform in the early days around 2015. We've launched in 2016, and today we're the largest and the leading crypto asset platform. Born in Dubai, raised in Dubai as well, and now serving the wider region, and in the future expanding globally as well. And today, what I'm going to talk about is how we, as BitOasis, think about unlocking growth of crypto in the region, and also the part that we're playing to unlock this potential and drive further crypto adoption across the region, specifically as well here in the Gulf. So as I mentioned, we're headquartered here in Dubai, and the reason we actually chose Dubai as our home because of the progressive stance on technology overall that the government and different stakeholders have in terms of supporting the ecosystem, and the very progressive, I think, regulation that we've seen also come out of Dubai over the last couple of weeks with focus on DWTCA. We are focused on providing the easiest and the smoothest way for customers to buy, sell, and trade crypto assets. We think this is one of the biggest drivers of wider crypto adoption, which is focused on ease of use and accessibility. We've got over 40 tokens that people can trade with Arab Emirates dirham, Saudi riyal, and further other fiat currencies as we expand. Now, the reason we do what we do is we believe that crypto assets is going to fundamentally change finance from an accessibility and inclusivity standpoint. We believe that crypto assets and blockchain will build a new foundation of financial services industries that is more transparent, and essentially it's happening at the periphery of traditional finance, where it's building that infrastructure from the ground up. So I'll take a step back before going into some of the details of the presentation, and I actually want to talk about how I bought my first Bitcoin, which part of that story is the reason why BitOasis started. So I got into crypto, it was Bitcoin at that point, in 2014, and it was really by coincidence, bumped into a Reddit post that was talking about Bitcoin, this new currency, decentralized currency that's going to replace central banks. Got super interested in it, fell down the rabbit hole, started attending different meetups and events, across the world, London, San Francisco, etc. And got to a point where like, all right, I'm ready. I want to buy my first Bitcoin. So I started talking and chatting to different friends here in Dubai. I was actually based in Dubai, working in tech at that point. And no one heard of it, and no one actually knew how I can buy crypto here, in the UAE and across the region, until a friend came and said, "Hey, I know one of my friends is actually doing a startup. He's based out of Toronto in Canada. Maybe you can chat with him." And then we chatted, and he was like, "Well, I can sell you some Bitcoin on local Bitcoins, and you can have your first crypto now." So I remember local Bitcoin, setting up my account, paid using PayPal. Probably ended up paying around 10% commission on that, added to the commission, obviously, that he had selling it. And I was like, obviously, this is ridiculous. It's clunky. You can't really buy a lot of Bitcoin on local Bitcoins at that point. No one is really running it in a professional way here across the region. And I started seeing more and more of my friends that want to buy. So I was like, well, all right, so if it's very difficult for people to buy, and at the same time, there are going to be hundreds and thousands, hundreds of thousands and millions of people who want to buy this in a very easy and trusted way here in the region, then there must be an opportunity here. And then the other thing, when I actually bought my first Bitcoin and I was transacting, using a crypto wallet at the time, I remember the first transaction that I've done and sending it to another, friend cross-border. It was very liberating being able to send value cross-border without relying on a bank. And from there, the potential is just really huge in terms of what I was, kind of imagining, especially in this part of the world where digitization and overall, I think providing a better digital infrastructure around financial services is really, really needed. And from there, was like, all right, this is the right place for us to build the right company and provide and focus on accessibility across the region. More importantly, what we've seen as well over the last 18 months is that the region, Middle East, North Africa, Turkey, and Pakistan, is actually one of the fastest growing markets in crypto adoption globally. And we're here talking about huge retail markets in the emerging parts of the world, where essentially 20 of the top emerging markets overall in terms of crypto adoption, based on reports that obviously have been published over the last 18 months, has the Middle East, North Africa, Turkey, and Pakistan among those top markets. So what that means is that this region is having its crypto moment as we speak right now. The rate of adoption over the last year in this part of the world have surpassed 1,500%, where the global average is actually 800%. So what you're seeing is that hundreds of thousands of millions of people across this part of the world have been buying their first crypto for the first time in the last year or so with the recent bull market that we've witnessed. But added to that is, even though the rates are twice as much as the global average, the penetration rate of crypto in this part of the world is still in its early days. So we're talking about the US hovering at around 15% to 20%. Across different markets, we see around 10% or so. In the region, is hovering between 1% and 2%. Turkey is around 3%, but we believe that this is higher. But what that means is that over the next 2 to 3 years, the upside and the growth rates that we're going to see in the region is at the range of 10 to 20x. So it's the right market for crypto growth. It's the right market to be in. And all the other companies that are actually here in Dubai, you're in the right place at the right time, which is why we at BitOasis are super excited to build in this part of the world and to make sure that UAE in Dubai is our home as we expand regionally and globally. The other part that I want to mention that is unique to this part of the world as well is that we see two main reasons that are driving this massive, fast-growing crypto adoption wave that we believe is going to continue over the next year or so to grow the market by 4x. And number one is large markets that are inflation or currency devaluation prone. So these are like Turkey, Pakistan, Egypt, other parts of the region where these have been macro trends that have been accelerating that type of adoption. And then the second wave that we're seeing is that young early adopters, retail specific, that are essentially looking to diversify investments and invest in a new asset class that is digital, has huge upside, and overall, obviously, huge growth over the next 5 to 10 years. And that's predominantly across the Gulf, UAE, Saudi, Kuwait, et cetera. So, huge kind of macro trends that are happening in the region that is causing this kind of twice as much of growth rate versus the global average. But what does that mean in terms of providing the infrastructure to be able to serve that fast-growing levels of adoption? A lot of the activity that we're seeing across the part of the world is, I would say, more unregulated, and at the same time, not very safe for retail investors to also engage in with, to some extent, high fraud rates. However, what we're seeing is that this level of adoption will continue growing and growing once we provide customers an easy and safe way to be able to transact and adopt crypto assets. The one main reason that we find retail customers still skeptical about crypto and crypto adoption is that they still haven't identified an easy way to adopt it and address their skepticism. So there's the educational part, and then there's the accessibility part. Provide or be able to transact using crypto with a trusted platform or an easy-to-use and safe platform. And those are the challenges that we address as BitOasis. We think that the key to unlocking adoption across MENA TP is focus on accessibility and ease of use. So that's the product, the onboarding, the all the way from verification to integration with different payment service providers. So it's really building those bridges between traditional financial services and creating that gateway or entry point for people into the blockchain or the crypto asset space. And that's a key focus for us as BitOasis, is ensuring that we scale that accessibility issue and tackle it head on. The second part, key to mainstream adoption of crypto assets, is providing that trust element, which is essentially regulation and further support in terms of allowing platforms and exchanges to be able to operate and continue scaling. And we're seeing more and more of that happening. For example, in Dubai, a couple of weeks back, with setting up the independent regulatory authority under DWTCA. We see other jurisdictions across the region, Bahrain, in Turkey as well, in Saudi, where we're seeing a lot more interest from regulators to start allowing or enabling further adoption and scaling of this industry. So regulation and us as platforms aligning our interests and also seeking such licenses is key for mainstream adoption. And then the other and third part is that as you build those bridges between the fiat world and the crypto world, and we're onboarding hundreds of thousands to millions of customers, then we become a gateway for accessibility to decentralized applications, decentralized finance, DeFi, and Web3 applications in terms of decentralized social media platforms, file sharing, et cetera, et cetera. And really, the potential is limitless. So where are we at this point? Today, BitOasis, over the last 12 months, we've grown by 5x. We have hundreds of thousands of customers, predominantly across the Gulf, and now we're scaling further across the region. We've done our soft launch in Turkey, actually earlier part of this year, further scaling in that part of the world as well over the next 3 to 6 months. In terms of regulation, we've got our regulatory licenses in Abu Dhabi global markets. We are the first and the only platform in the UAE that also is a registered entity under the Financial Intelligence Unit, under the Central Bank of UAE. We're in the process of getting and acquiring further licenses across the region, and our platform in Turkey is also a reporting entity for the Financial Intelligence Unit in Turkey. In terms of a team, we've got over 200 or close to 200 people in different parts of the world. In the UAE, in Amman, in Saudi, in Turkey, in Europe as well, where we've got our tech team. We've grown and raised over 30 million USD in terms of venture-backed funding, and we're expanding across the region, MENA 2P and beyond. And a lot of news will be coming out in terms of further market expansion and partnerships that we are setting up in place to drive wider crypto adoption and more mainstream adoption. Partnerships on stakeholders such as governments and private sector partnerships as well. So for us as BitOasis, crypto adoption and taking crypto to mainstream in this part of the region is key for us. We want to become the fastest growing exchange for the fastest growing market in crypto adoption here in the world. So thank you guys very much.